Let's talk to UKIP'S Deputy Chairwoman, Suzanne, who joins us now. Good morning to you. You must be holding your head in your hands today, mustn't you?
Well, you know, Stephen, this was not entirely unpredicted, was it? We have been setting the political agenda when it comes to the EU now for quite some time. And I think what we're seeing here is the local elections being used to basically say, you know, we're getting out of the EU, we want to make sure we get out of the European Union. And the Conservative spin on this election, which has been very much that you have to vote Conservative if you want that to happen, I think has taken hold, even though, of course, in reality, the impact of a local election is really not going to have much to do with national policy on leaving the European Union. I'm afraid I think we are a victim of that. But so as I say, it's not entirely unexpected. When a political party that's done as well as UKIP has in achieving their core aim, their founding principle, and I think if you look at it, actually, you could say we're one of the most successful political parties of the 21st century on that basis. But achieving that core aim, we now have a job to do to convince the electorate that we are a party that is about more than leaving the European Union. And I think that's what we will do from now on.
Well, isn't that the problem? That in one sense, you're not a party, certainly at the moment, that is about more than leaving the European Union, which is why you've seen various high-profile members leave recently, and you've had their exam results. Beg your pardon. if only it was exam results, Suzanne.
Yeah,
you had the election results that we've seen so far this morning. I mean, it's one thing to lose councillors; it's another thing to lose all of the councillors that were standing with the results we've had in so far.
Well, first of all, we haven't lost all the councillors yet. We've only we haven't had by all the results, and in fact, a lot of councils are not going to be starting to even count the votes until 10 o'clock this morning. And even if we don't win a single seat, we will still have 300 councillors across the country tomorrow morning. I disagree with you. We are a party that's about far, far more than the European Union. You saw that in our 2015 manifesto. You will see that in our forthcoming general election manifesto. The difficulty we've had, I think, is getting that message out. Everybody always wants to talk to us about the EU, and they've perhaps ignored some of the other brilliant policies that we have and that you'll be seeing a lot more of very shortly.
But what is interesting is when you said, you know, you can understand that people are turning to the Conservatives because of the whole Brexit issue. You can, even though these local elections were not about Brexit per se, the general election is going to be about Brexit. I mean, that is the territory on which it is being fought. You're predicting, therefore, aren't you, a really bad time come the 8th of June?
I think it puts UKIP in a difficult dilemma. Brexit is something that we have fought for long and hard. And I think most sensible people and commentators in politics recognise that if it weren't for UKIP, we would not be in the position that we are now as a country. We would not have triggered Article 50. We would not be heading out of the European Union. So that really does put us in a dilemma. We have got what we wanted, but unfortunately we have been, in a sense, the victims of our own success. So we do have a duty now, I think, to reform, because what concerns me is that there is still a desperate need for a sensible third party in British politics. It looks like, as Vince Cable's just said, we are heading for a Conservative landslide. And whilst I don't agree with Vince politically, I do agree with him that one-party states are not much fun. I can remember very clearly the sort of sleaze government of John Major's time when the Conservatives seemed to be invincible. They certainly went off the rails, you know, made some appalling policies, just as, of course, Tony Blair did in '97 when he too had that landslide.
But are you saying then that does UKIP want to change policy in this country, or does UKIP just want to be, if you can, an effective opposition? I mean, you were a Tory in 2010. You were a Tory councillor, weren't you? I mean,
I was.
But isn't there an advantage, an understanding to why people would move from UKIP to Tory now? In essence, you're talking about the death of a single issue party.
Well, this is exactly the point that I'm trying to get across. UKIP has a future as much more than a single-issue party, and that is really now what we've got to get across.
Clearly, people can't see what that is if we follow through the results of what we've seen so far. So what is the point of UKIP?
We have to admit that Brexit is top of the agenda right now, and people are, I think, quite legitimately concerned, given Theresa May's record of not fulfilling her promises, that Brexit might not happen unless they actually do vote for a party that they think at the moment will follow Brexit through. I'm not so convinced about that. But look, for me, UKIP has the potential to be a very strong, powerful third party in this country that sits right between both the Tory and the Labour left. I think we have policies that take the best of both the right and the left wing in politics, if you like. I don't particularly like those distinctions. But we do have a way forward. And as I say, if I think we can get our other policies across, if we can persuade the media to report our other policies, and I'm afraid there has been very often a deliberate failure to report our other policies. We have great policies on welfare, on the NHS, on the economy, on transport, right across the patch. And we have a duty now to get those across, because I think if there is a Tory landslide on the 8th of June, I think very quickly people in this country will begin to think that they made a mistake in voting for them. Whether if Brexit happens, then that's great. I think they might backslide on Brexit, and I think they will be pushing forward very, very unpopular policies, which are raising taxes, penalising small businesses, taking an even bigger stick than they have already to the poorest in this people on benefits. I think there'll be a very wake-up call very quickly.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.